Well, hello, and welcome back to Curless Mania, where we talk all things pop, rock, and prog. I'm back here to talk some more Beatles solo. I just did a George Harrison solo ranking, and people seem to enjoy it. And a couple people said, yeah, keep going with the Beatles solo rankings. So I said, okay, I can do that. So I'm continuing now with the John Lennon discography, which is pretty manageable. He didn't record and release that many albums during his solo records, I should say, during his lifetime. Unfortunately, his life got, as we all know, cut off very early, and in 1980, December 8th, to be exact. And we lost a great artist. He was taken from us way too early, but his discography is not that long, so it's I can do this. And I did listen to all these albums, just re-listened again, just to make sure that it's fresh in my mind. I always like to do that, even with an artist that I know and these albums I know backwards. I like to listen to them again freshly, because you never know. You might listen to it now and go, oh, there's something a little different than what I remember. Like, oh, I like this album better, or I don't like this one as much. So it's interesting how that can happen when you listen to a discography all the way through of an artist that you're familiar with. And sometimes things can change a little bit. And so there's a couple subtle changes. It's actually pretty close to what I thought it was going to be, but there's a couple subtle things in there. So I'm just doing the albums that were released. I'm not doing Life with the Lions and what's the other one? Two Virgins. I'm not doing that. Those are very extremely experimental albums that were done on Zapple, the Zapple label with Yoko. Extremely avant-garde, way out there. I'm not including those two records because they're just so different. They're not really his. I don't know how to describe it. It's not really his bread and butter. It's just them kind of messing around and putting it on tape. So I'm going to start with Live Peace in Toronto, 1969, Plastic Ono Band. So that's going to be number 9. And this was released in 69. He got invited to come to a Toronto festival, music festival. And it was like this sort of throwback festival with a lot of his 50s idols. And he got this call like, hey, why don't you come out to Toronto and play on this festival? And he just happened to answer the phone at the Apple offices and said, oh, well, when is it? Well, it's I think it was like the next day or 2 nights later, something like that. It was crazy. It was something very, very last minute. And he was like, oh, Jerry Lee Lewis is going to be there. And I don't know who else, Carl Perkins and all these legends, and Little Richard, all these legends were going to be there. And he's like, oh my God, really? So he kind of got excited about it and thought, okay, well, I'll do it. I'll put a band together and I'll do this. He ends up getting Eric Clapton and Alan White, pre-Yes, right? This is like Alan White just found in a bar somewhere in London, and Klaus Voormann on bass, and Yoko, and they went out there and played this gig, like just total last minute, rehearsing on the airplane. And by all accounts, John was really nervous about it and ended up throwing up right before they went on stage, all this stuff. But anyway, it's a pretty good record. I mean, it's a pretty good set. I mean, they throw together, you can tell it's just songs that are really easy. And I think he even says when he gets up there, the first thing he says, we're just going to play songs we know. He's trying to just ease the tension a little bit. And they played Blue Suede Shoes, Money, Dizzy Miss Lizzie, Your Blues from the White Album, Cold Turkey, which was like his recent single. And then Give Peace a Chance. And then the whole second side is Don't Worry Kyoko, which is just crazy noise, crazy stuff that's really not almost unlistenable. So this is really only like half a record for me. It's not bad. You can tell it's really thrown together. I mean, you can tell that it's very, very loose. But it's a historical document, because really after this concert on the way home is when he told Alan Klein, like, hey, I'm done with the Beatles. I think once he finally got the kahunas, the chutzpah, the courage to go out and play without the Beatles on stage, it was like a whoa moment for him. Like, oh my God, I think I can do this. And it felt so good to be on stage without the Beatles. doing this on my own. So this concert was really the final nail for him with the Beatles. He didn't do it right away. He didn't pull the trigger right away, but he did make up his mind at this point that he was done with the Beatles after this concert. So it's sort of a historical document in that regard. So that's number 9, Live Peace in Toronto. Number 8 is Rock and Roll. This album was, the story behind this record is very long and very complicated. Essentially, this was an album he had to make because he was in deep water due to a copyright infringement that he had from Come Together from Abbey Road. Come Together essentially was, when it in its first form, was very, very, very close to You Can't Catch Me by Chuck Berry. In fact, Paul McCartney said to him when he first heard him demo it, he said, "Oh my God, that's Can't Catch Me, dude. What are you doing? That's a Chuck Berry song. We've got to change this up. It's way too close." He even used the Here Come Old Flat Top. Flat Top was used in the Chuck Berry song. He never changed that. Even though Paul brilliantly came up with this, let's swamp it up. Let's make it slower and groovier and sexier. And they did. It was really cool. A very, very cool arrangement, and Come Together is an awesome song. However, it didn't do enough to cover the fact that he was using a lot of lines from the Chuck Berry song. So Morris Levy, who owned the copyright to Can't Catch Me, was like, "Hey, we might have to sue you because that's a little too close to the Chuck Berry song." And John said, "Well, wait a minute. Why don't we, in the settlement," he said, "why don't we do this? I will record some of your songs. I will record some of the Morris Levy songs and I'll put it out. And you'll make money from that, and that's how we'll settle this." So apparently Morris Levy was like, "All right, great. Go ahead and record a couple songs. Go do a cover record." So he decides on his lost weekend, after Yoko kicks him out, to do this. Hey, I don't want to be this struggling artist, this deep artist. I just want to be a singer again. I want to get Phil Spector, and I just want to get a bunch of musicians, and I want to sing. I just want to sing songs from my childhood, from when I was 13 to 16 years old, that I loved. That's all it was. It's just like, let's just have some fun. That was the original idea. And then we'll also, while we're having fun, we'll get rid of this lawsuit. So I think it was like trying to get rid of, trying to do two things at once. The sessions were terrible. John was drinking. Everyone was drinking in the studio and doing drugs. Phil Spector was out of control. This was during his lost weekend where he was just miserable without Yoko, and they were in LA, and they had like 35 people in the studio trying to do a track. It was just out of control. And Phil Spector apparently shot a gun at the ceiling. It was completely out of control, these sessions. And, but they did manage to record some songs, and Phil Spector took off with the tapes and left and locked them away somewhere. And John Lennon was like, "Well, what am I going to do now? These tapes are gone. All the stuff that we did, even though it was a drunken mess, I still want to hear it, what we did, and maybe we can salvage some of it." Finally, they end up getting the tapes back. It's this long story. And then by the time they got the tapes back, he's making another album, Walls and Bridges. And so he ends up coming back to this, and he salvages some of it. There's a lot of it's a mess, but he salvages some of it. And actually, it's interesting that something like Just Because, that's from the original sessions, that's actually very good. Some of the stuff from the original sessions is not that bad, and you kind of wonder if they had stayed focused, maybe they could have made a better album, because essentially what he did was he took the Walls and Bridges band and went back in and said, "Okay, let's just bang out a few tunes. Let's just learn these songs and bang them out quickly." And that's kind of what they do here. And there's some decent covers here. I mean, Bebopalula's done very well. I like that one a lot. I like Ready Teddy Rip It Up. Can't Catch Me is not that great. Some of the arrangements he does, I don't really like. Do You Want to Dance? I don't like that very much. Sweet Little 16's okay. Slippin' and Sliding's good. That's a good one. Peggy Sue he does really well. Bring It On Home to Me, Send Me Some Lovin'. I think that's from the original. Is it? No, that's actually later. But Just Because is one from the original sessions, and it's actually very good. That's my favorite. I think it's my favorite song on here. So anyway, so yeah, it's a long story, but honestly, I don't really like the songs that much that he picked. And there's some things on here that I kind of like, but I don't know. I just don't, when I go to listen to a John Lennon album, this is a covers album that he did where he just sang. And it's just, I'm missing the John Lennon writing. And it's very scattershot because some of it's from 73 and some of it's from 74. And it's just all over the place. And they had to rush it out because Morris Levy put out another like bootleg copy of what John gave him. So they had to rush it out. They were originally going to do all of this like big package with John's notes, handwritten notes and everything and pictures. And it would have been actually pretty cool, but they couldn't do all that because they had to rush it out. So this whole thing with this album was sort of cursed from the start. So it's not bad considering how much drama around this album there was. But the other thing that's really interesting is when he says, I'm saying goodbye from the record plant East, when he says that at the end, which is interesting. He's like, goodbye from the record plant East, and you're like, oh my God, like, and this was the last album he did until Double Fantasy. So it's just very interesting. So anyway, John Lennon, rock and roll at number 8. Okay. Number 7, I am doing Milk and Honey, which is the posthumous record from that they put out right after his death, which is essentially from the Double Fantasy sessions. At least all John's stuff is. And this is interesting. This has some good moments here and there. But you can tell that it's stuff that's not quite done. And probably a lot of stuff would have been done over. If he had been around, he would have redone a lot of this stuff. I mean, you can tell that some of it sounds rehearsal, like the band ran through the song the first or couple times, and they got it down, but it's not really a finished take. So you can kind of tell. So John's songs are really loose on here. But that being said, I mean, Nobody Told Me is a great track. I love Nobody Told Me. I love I'm Stepping Out is very good. I Don't Want to Face It. It could have been so much better. I think if they had like really polished that sounds a little bit loose, but if they had polished that, man, it's a good song. And then Borrowed Time's not bad. It's sort of like a reggae-ish thing. Grow Old With Me is like a heart, like wrenches at your heartstrings because he talks about growing old with Yoko and Two Branches from One Tree. And it kills you but it's very much a demo. I mean, it's a demo. It sounds like he just played it on piano and he's with a handheld recorder. It's a demo. So yeah. So some of this stuff sounds very demo-ish and sort of rehearsal-ish. So that's why, it's interesting. It would have been so interesting to see if he had worked on these songs and put out another album that had been a little more polished when he had been alive. I think it would have been a good record. So Milk and Honey at number, what is that? Number 7, right? Okay. Number 6 is Sometime in New York City. This album is a little bit of a mess. It didn't get good reviews when it came out. This is when John and Yoko moved to Greenwich Village in New York City, and they met all these people in New York, all these political revolutionary guys like Jerry Rubin and what was the other guy? Bobby Seale and people like that. And they would meet people like in Greenwich, in Lincoln Square, and like, what's his name? David Peel, is that his name? He was like a street musician that wrote this song called The Pope Smokes Dope. And John was enamored with him and was like, oh, we got to go record these songs. These are awesome. Like, these are great songs. And so they were enamored with moving to New York City. And John had a lot of energy from that. And meeting these kind of radical political guys he was revving him up, and he was getting all excited about that. So he ended up writing all of these political songs like John Sinclair and Angela and New York City's a good rocker. Luck of the Irish is another political, Bloody Sunday, and Attica State. So there's all these like very political things that were happening in 1972. This album is very stuck in 1972 because these are all like front page news things that happened in 72. But if you're not aware of of what was going on. It's just stuck in that time. So he kind of wanted to do it like a newspaper. That's why he showed it like a newspaper. But this ended up coming out after Thick as a Brick, which, so it almost looked like he was copying Jethro Tull. So it's just, the whole thing was like, okay, it looks like you're copying another band with the packaging. And then also this album is like, goes back and forth from John and Yoko. So it's like a John song, Yoko song, John song, Yoko song, John song. So it doesn't there's no flow. And that's Milk and Honey's like that too. So it's just, there's no flow when it goes back and forth like that. I just don't like it. And I'm not too enamored of Yoko's songs. So, and really this is honestly, this is just not, the songs just aren't that great. I mean, Attic Estates, it's not bad. It's not horrible, but it's just not like, when I listen to this album, I just go, eh. And then he put in like a live disc of him playing with Zappa, the Mothers, and at Fillmore East. And it's like, that's like, okay. There's a couple moments on that are all right, but it's it's not bad, but I guess it's like a free live disc, but it's not that. It sounds really thrown together. And I think this album was sort of rushed, if you ask me. It just seems a little rushed. Like he should have taken some more time with it. But I think he was in such a hurry to get this album out because it was so topical. So that was kind of, it was like, I got to get it out now because these are all topical songs, So kind of like a newspaper, right? So Phil Spector produced this album, but it doesn't really sound that great. And he's playing with this New York band called Elephant's Memory, and they're like, okay, they're not like the greatest band on the planet. They're all right. They're like a pickup band. So I just think there's a lot of things working against this record. It could have been a lot better. So this is like kind of an album like what could have been kind of thing. And on the next album is kind of like that too a little bit, but it's better. The next album's better than this. So we'll move on. So this is Sometime in New York City at number 6. Number 5 is Mind Games. So this album's better than the last one, but this album also has kind of like a what if vibe to it, where it's like, it feels like I wish he had used a different band on this album. That's where I'm going with this. Because he has these sort of female backup singers. I think they're called Something Different. And God, they kind of drive me crazy on some of the songs. You're like, oof, I just don't like the female backup singers, and they kind of sound cheesy, and they kind of cheese up a couple of the songs. But however, that being said, and I'm not sure I love the studio band they're very like studio cats, they're not the greatest band on the planet. And it just has this sort of like laid back, mellow vibe. And after this is a kind of a retreat after Sometime in New York City, that he retreated back into MOR territory with this album a little bit, because he had gotten just really bad reviews from Sometime in New York City. So that was the first time that he had, for a long time, that he put something out and it didn't sell that well, and it got bad reviews, and I think he was thrown for a loop. Like, what? I just got bad reviews and it's not selling? What? That hadn't happened to him in forever. So this album was a bit of a retreat, and then he was also leaving, as you can see from the artwork, he's leaving Yoko. So Yoko and he were splitting up. They're having problems at this point. And this is the Ultimate Mixes outtakes. I have out 2 albums. So this is a reissue of it. However, I do think there's some moments on here that are very good. The title track, Mind Games, is fantastic. I love that. It's one of my favorite John Lennon songs. Mind Games is incredible. Love that. Tight Ass isn't bad. I'm Sorry is pretty good. How do you say that? Sumasen, I think is how you say it. Anyway, let's see. Then Intuition's like, okay. Out of the Blue is great. That's a great song. I like that one. Only People's kind of blah. Like, only people know how to talk to people. It's okay. I Know is really good. That's a really good song. You Are Here is actually very good. You Are Here on the box set that I have. Geez, should I go get it? It's right there. I'm looking at it right now. I'm just going to go grab it. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. the You Are Here on this box set is excellent. It's really good. It's like very stripped back, and it's very, I don't know, it's just a different version of it with different instrumentation, and it's excellent. And I really got more appreciation on the for that song from this, because it's got a lot of outtakes from a lot of all the records on this. So very cool. Anyway, and then Meat City is awesome. Like, it ends really well with a rocker, Meat City, which I really, really like. Going to Meat City, ding, 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 to see for myself. Ding, 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 ding. It's cool. It's a cool rocker, actually, and it's got some backwards stuff on it. And I'm like, oh, I wish the whole album had been like, I mean, this and Mind Games are both great songs, and then there's some really good songs here and there between, but it's kind of spotty. It's just sort of spotty, and it just doesn't have the same like oomph that the other albums have. Although I do come back to this, though. I do listen to this. So Mind Games at number 5. Number 4 is Double Fantasy, which is his last album that he did in his lifetime with Yoko. And, you know, the John songs on this are just fantastic. I love the John songs on this. Watching the Wheels is one of my all-time favorites. Just Like Starting Over is cool. Cleanup Time's great. I wish he had kept Cheap Trick on that. He did. That's another one on here. That's on here. The Cheap Trick backing him up on sorry, I said Cleanup Time, Losing You. When he does I'm Losing You with Cheap Trick on this. So cool. Oh my God. I wish they'd kept that version on here, but it's still good. It's still good on this record. You still got some like very like high level studio guys on this album. I mean, you got, you know, who's on, God, who is it? Earl Slick is on guitar on this record, and he's just, it's great. It's really cool guitar, and Andy Newmark on drums, and I think who's on bass? Isn't it Tony Levin is on bass, I believe, on this album? Yeah. Anyway, it's very, the John songs are very strong, and this, you know, he had been gone for 5 years at this point, and he had been writing a lot, and he kept saying that he hadn't been writing, but he had been here, and there was a lot of, I think there was some songs that he had kind of stacked up, but he did have sort of a writing jag right before he recorded this album. So Cleanup Time's cool. I'm Losing You, which I talked about, is a good one. It's a good rocker. Beautiful Boy is absolutely just heart-wrenching, but it's such a great song. It's such a cool melody. Watching the Wheels, excellent. Love that song. Just love the whole, like, people say I'm lazy, doing what I'm doing, and I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. Really love to watch them roll. Oh, love that song. And then Dear Yoko's like, it's okay. Woman is amazing. I mean, Woman is another great one. That's just a killer track. It's so Beatley. Just those harmonies of, you know, the meaning of success. I just love that so much. So great. So yeah, the John songs on here are just like, but it's still only like half a record, right? Because again, it's like, then the Yoko stuff on here is not that bad. I have to be honest. Like, the Yoko stuff is actually pretty listenable, but the John stuff is just incredible. This is very, very good. So if you can obviously put together a playlist where you just put together the John songs on here and the John songs on Milk and Honey, and you have a full record of his from 1980, basically. So yeah, then number 3 is Walls and Bridges from 1974. This is his Lost Weekend record that he made while he was separated from Yoko, and he was in Los Angeles for quite a while, and he was with May Pang, his assistant that became his, lover and confidant and, manager. I mean, she was like everything for him for a while. And, so he made, finally was, after a lot of drunken debauchery with Harry Nilsson and Keith Moon and all these people, and Ringo, he finally said, let's just get productive. I need to do something. I need to make a record. So he finally sort of dried out and decided to make an album, put a band together, and made this record. And I think this record's strong. I love this album. I think it's really, really good. I think he was focused. I think he, it's not great all the way through, but the highlights are so high. The songs that are good are great. And it's pretty consistent. Like I said, it's not amazing all the way through, but it's consistent compared to these other, like Mind Games, for example, is not as consistent as this one is in my opinion. And, I mean, songs like, Going Down on Love is great. Whatever Gets You Through the Night was for the first hit he'd had in a while with Elton John. He got together with Elton John and they did a duet. I don't like the Waylon sax again. I always bring this up. I don't like Waylon sax. That's the only thing I don't like about that song. It kind of drives me crazy, but it's still a cool track. I almost wish they would take the sax off of it. But I want to mix without the sax. Anyway, then Old Dirt Road is a collaboration with Harry Nilsson, and that's a great track. Oh, I love that one. Don't Know What You Got Till You Lose It. Great. Bless You is a beautiful track for Yoko. Bless You Wherever You Are. Scared is cool. Scared is kind of ends side one with a sort of, where he said that, and he did tons of interviews for this album. He really promoted it hard because he obviously felt proud of it. So he went out and did like tons of interviews for this. You can find them all on YouTube. He's on all these radio stations promoting this album. And he said, "What am I feeling?" He sat down at the piano. He said, "What am I feeling today? What am I feeling right now?" And he said, "I'm feeling scared." And so he just started writing the song, and he had that emotion. It's just very cool. Number 9 Dream is another killer track, like really beautiful, awesome. Just love the melody on that track. It's just, it's one of the kind of most beautiful songs he had done in years, I would say. And there's some, whispering and backwards stuff on it, and it's cool. Then Stealing Glass is apparently about his falling out with Alan Klein. Beef Jerky's an instrumental, that's okay. And then Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out. Oh, killer track is another awesome one. And then he does like this little ya thing with his son Julian on drums. So it's sort of a throwaway at the end, which is kind of weird. It ends, but kind of badly. Like, why'd you do that after this awesome song, Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out? Then he does ya. Like, it's like a throwaway. Like, it's just, that's the only thing. It kind of ends badly, but it's overall, between side 1 is really strong. And then side 2 has a couple of but Number 9 Dream is amazing. And Surprise is pretty cool. Stealing That. Yeah. So anyway, I love this. I like this record a lot. That's why it's pretty high. Number 3, Walls and Bridges, 1974. Okay. Now we're getting into, we are into the great stuff now. Like, I love Walls and Bridges, and now I love this album too. Plastic Ono Band from 1970. This is a classic, absolute all-time classic. Obviously, 1 and 2 were just like a throw. Like, I just couldn't figure out which one I was going to do 1 and 2. They're really equally amazing. So this one and Walls and Bridges isn't far behind for me. Like, there's the top 3 are just like impeccable, awesome. And this album is just so. You have to be, if you're in the right mood for it, it's just absolute chef's kiss, but it's a little dark and it's intense, and he's really bearing his soul on this album. He is just bearing it all. He is like, give it everything he's got, both barrels, talking about his childhood and his messed up upbringing and his parents. And he had just come out of therapy with Arthur Janov, and he was fresh out of therapy. So he's writing these songs that he's just stripped bare emotionally. So he's writing these songs about his parents and about the Beatles and and these people that he pissed off at, and these phonies and people that he can't stand. And like, he hated that, in this interview he did for Rolling Stone, he talks about how he hated he had to sell himself out to be a Beatle. And he's basically telling everyone giving everyone the middle finger on this record, like, screw you, you're not going to get me again, And this album is just dark. He's basically lashing out at a lot of different people in his life, and including the Beatles, right? But but it's fascinating. It's just so, I mean, you hear the song Mother and you're like, what? Like when he starts doing those primal screams at the end with Mama Don't Go, it's like, oh my God, it's just hard. It's just like, whoa, he is just going for the jugular and he is laying himself bare for all to see. And that's the one thing that's so cool about John Lennon. He just wasn't scared to tell the truth, man. He told it how it was, and he didn't care what the consequences were. He's like, I'm not gonna pretend. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think. And that's the coolest thing about John. And he would also be very honest about himself and his foibles and his weaknesses. And he was just so honest. And that's when you listen to his interviews, I'm fascinated by his interviews because they're so honest. He just does not, the guy can't lie. He's just so honest and he's so raw. And that's what makes him so great. So he always gives these really, really brutally honest answers. Most celebrities wouldn't give those kind of answers, but he didn't care. So, and that's just who he was, right? It's just who he was. So anyway, this album is kind of like that. And it's just filled with like song after song after song. Every song on this record is very strong. Mother, I Found Out, Isolation, Working Class Hero, just banger after banger, just amazing record. It blows me away how good it is. And apparently Roger Waters was really influenced by this album, which is not shocking, right? When you listen to The Wall and things like that, he always said he was really influenced by Plastic Ono Band by John Lennon because it talks about, Roger lost his father at a young age, so he knew what it was like to lose a parent at a young age. So I think he really related to a lot of this record. And it's got that edge, right, that Roger Waters had too. Like Roger was always a little edgy, and John was edgy, so he loved that edge that John had. And, this whole, I don't believe in Zimmerman and I don't believe in Buddha and I don't believe, and he's basically just taking out all of these things that he thought, would save him or would help him. And they never did. Right. And I don't believe in I don't believe in Beatles. I just believe in me, Yoko and me. That's it. Like just Yoko and me. So Yoko had a lot of pressure on her to live up to. It's like, I'm getting rid of everything else in my life. Yoko, you're it. That's it. It's like, I'm sure she was like, whoa, okay, there's a lot of pressure. And I think that did kind of mess with their relationship a little bit because he was so intense about her. It's like, whoa, you got to, I appreciate that, but like, that's a lot. So anyway, I'm getting really deep into this, but I just love this album to death. I think it's amazing. It easily could have been number one, but today I felt like putting it at number two because the only reason I'm doing that is because I feel like it's pretty intense and kind of dark, and you really sort of have to be, I can listen to it anytime, but maybe certain people would be like, ooh, this album is like, and it's also the fact that it's just him. Last thing I'll say about it, it's just him, Klaus Vormann, and Ringo. That's it. It's a trio. The whole album is just him, the trio playing. I love that. It's so stripped back. It's crazy how stripped back it is. So anyway, Plastic Ono Band at number two. Okay, now, so obviously there's only one left, Imagine, at number one. So I just feel like I put this at number one today because I feel like this one has the edge and it's got some sugar on it too, right? So it kind of does both. It's not all dark. It's got both sides of his personality, in my opinion. It's got sort of the edgy, dark stuff, and then it's also got some light and fluffiness and some sunshine in there too. Like, so that's why, and I could listen to this album anytime and be happy. Like, this is a great, obviously the title track. And it's sort of an all-star cast on this record too. He's got Nicky Hopkins on piano. He's got Alan White on drums. He's got George Harrison playing some amazing stinging slide leads on this. He recorded this at his home studio in England, in London, outside of London. He installed a studio in his house at Tittenhurst Park? Is that right? I think that's what it is. He put like this really fancy studio in his basement. So there's a lot of video of them recording the album. You can see it on YouTube. And if there's a movie called Imagine where they show him recording the album. And it's really cool. It's fascinating. So Phil Spector is producing. He's got Badfinger on this. He's got the usual, like Klaus Vormann. I think I said that already, on bass. And just all sorts of people just on this record that are just high level. And so I think that really raises just like raises it up. And it is really cool to see him working on How Do You Sleep, and he's playing it for George Harrison, and he's kind of got this like kind of wry smile on his face, like, oh, listen to the lyrics, listen, I'm talking about Paul. It's like, it's really cool to watch. But anyway, this album is excellent, really, really, really good. Just let me look at the track listing again. I mean, I love Give Me Some Truth. It's like, oh, come on, Give Me Some Truth is so good. I love Oh My Love. Is that no? Sorry, that's on Plastic Ono Band, right? Come on, Tom. Let's go. Let's get with it here. All right, here we go. No, Oh My Love is on here. Never mind, I was right. How Do You Sleep? Obviously, is the song about Paul McCartney. That has George Harrison all over it. But it's a cool track. I mean, it's just, everyone talks about the lyrics, but listen to the music. The music is really cool. I love How. Oh my God. How do I go forward when I don't know? And then the strings come in. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, so good. Love that. Oh Yoko is pretty fun. What else? What else we got? I love how he put his face on the label. Imagine, we talked about Imagine, the title track, of course, right? Crippled Inside's a cool sort of like, I don't know, sort of a like skiffle-ish kind of song. Jealous Guy, beautiful, beautiful track, beautiful melody. Love that song. That's another standard. I think Roxy Music covered it. And it was originally called Child of Nature. He wrote it in India when they were with Amar Rishi. So it was written in 1968. It's so hard. It's great. And I Don't Want to Be a Soldier is sort of like this long jam that we just, I don't want to be a soldier, mama, I don't want to die. And it just keeps going on and going and going. It's a cool jam. So this album is just fantastic, 10 out of 10. And so is Plastic Ono Band. And, I mean, and Walls and Bridges for me is really close to a 10. And then Mind Games is like just below that. So there's a lot of great stuff in the John Lennon catalog. So there's my ranking for you. And there's John parodying Paul with the pig instead of whatever it was, a sheep with Paul, I think. So he's making fun of Paul McCartney. This is when they were really fighting a lot, during when he was making Imagine. They were fighting a ton over business problems. And then this is the other postcard that they put in the album. It's John and Yoko. So yeah, and they put a poster in it, so it was a really cool package too. So yeah, so there you go. There's my ranking of John Lennon. I probably missed something here. I don't know. I just kind of did it off the cuff. So yeah, so there's the ranking. There you go. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know what. I'm sure somebody will say, they'll have their own, and this is just my opinion. This is not definitive. This is just my opinion. I always have to say that. I'm just throwing it together. This is just, and this is really my opinion today. It could change tomorrow, right? You could look at it and go, I got to put Plastic Ono Band number one, right? So you never know. But John Lennon is a fantastic artist, and he did a lot of great solo material. I'd be curious to see what your rankings are. So let me know below. Also, let me know if you want to continue. I could continue. I could do Paul McCartney in the 70s, maybe rank his 70s records. If you're interested in that, I could continue with that. If you're liking the Beatles content. So that's it. Is there anything else I was going to say? Yeah, I guess I would just say, if you enjoy what you see, please like and subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the like button. It really helps the channel to grow. And I'm doing my best to just continue to give you good content and just consistently. So if you like what you see, please hit subscribe. It doesn't take much. Just hit that button, and it'll help me a lot. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate my subscribers, the people that have subscribed. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. So thank you. And that's it. We'll see you next time on Curless Mania. Take care, everybody. See ya.